Hello, this is a short talk about some of the very basic principles of using multi-column layouts in your Word document. Now, I've got a document here. We've got some headings and a paragraph at the top. We've got a number list, and then we've got a paragraph at the bottom. So let's suppose that we want this top part, all of this, to be single column, and then we want everything from the number list down, including that last paragraph, to be in two-column mode. Okay, seems simple enough. Now, on the Layout tab, we have this Columns drop-down. So one might think that one would simply put the insertion point here and select two columns. But if you do that, it affects the whole thing, which is not quite what we wanted. Now, the reason for this is because, in fact, just undo that with a Control Z. In fact, this applies to the current section of the document, and at present my document has only one section. If we go back to the Home tab and turn on the formatting symbols, which are very useful in situations like this, we can see that all we've got is basic paragraphs. That's what this symbol means. So the first thing we need to do is to make this top part and the rest of it into separate sections. So again, with our insertion point at the point where we want our double column section to begin, we go back to Layout and we select in this Breaks pull down a continuous section break. That means it puts a section break in, and we can see it here because we've got the formatting symbols on. It puts a section break in at the insertion point and doesn't throw a page feed. There are other sorts of breaks, even page, odd page, next page, which will throw page breaks. So we've now got our section break in. And now, with our insertion point in the same place again, if we select two column from the columns pull down, lo and behold, we get one column at the top, two columns thereafter, right down to the end of the document. That's not bad. It's not quite what I'd like, though. I'd like these two columns to be of even length, what are called balanced columns. In fact, what it does by default is it takes the first column down to the bottom of the page and then wraps into the second column. I want them to be the same length. To achieve that, you put your insertion point at the end and you add another continuous section break. And now they balance up, more or less. This one's a little bit longer because the text doesn't exactly divide in two. Now, interestingly, in some earlier versions of Word, I think they fixed it round about Word 2010. I'm not absolutely sure about that. But in some earlier versions of Word, if the columns wouldn't exactly balance, then that didn't work. It just sat there and looked at you. And in that situation, for the benefit of those who've got old versions of Word lying around, you just had to put a carriage return or two at the end of the text until it did balance. And then it was fine. It just seemed like Word wasn't quite capable of dividing by two. Basically, the text in the columns had to exactly divide by the number of columns. However, we don't have that problem now, fortunately, in 2016. So, okay, that's pretty good. That's what I originally set out for. Let's just say, however, that I've changed my mind and I now want this last paragraph to be back to single column mode, so only the number list is in two columns. So let's back out that section break at the end there. We'll just delete that. And now we're back to unbalanced columns. So we put our insertion point where we'd like to go back to single column mode, and we simply put our continuous section break in there. Now, as you can see, our number list is balanced, and we have the rest of it separate. It's in a different section now because we have this break here. That new section is still in two column mode, however. So we need to put our insertion point here where we want the single column to begin and simply go columns 1. And now we've got it how we want it. If we just turn the symbols off again just to see it properly, there it is. So that is very simply how to use multiple columns in your Word document. I hope that was some help. See you next time.